Welcome to episode 100.
100.
Ruben, do you think we'd ever be here?
Episode 100 or on the couch?
Yeah, so we're on Ruben's couch. This is his house. Ruben, we're in your house. People get a sneak peek into your house.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, this is nice. This is actually a really nice couch, by the way. I
Thank you.
wish I could I don't want to lose our view here, but if you looked around, you could
Our
see
whole audience could fit on it.
Yeah.
It's that big.
It's that big that everyone watching this show right now could fit on the couch. And we have room to spare. So today, Ruben, I don't really have any real plans for today's special episode. This is supposed to be a big party, a big gala event, but I just want to talk about what this show, 100 episodes, means to you, means to me, means to
we're doing you as well?
We're doing me as well.
Oh, that's what it meant to me.
So, Ruben, what do you remember how this show even started 100 episodes ago?
Yeah, I had the idea, and I was pitching it to you for a while, and it took a while for you to come around, and like, okay, fine, I'll watch the films, and now here we are.
Yeah, that's not quite how it happened. But,
how do you remember it?
Well, long story short, Ruben had a podcast, and to our faithful listeners, people will remember Ruben's podcast was the Always Hungry podcast.
It was a good podcast.
I liked it. I personally enjoyed it. I listened to every episode. It's now unavailable. You can't even find it. If one of our hardcore fans go out there and can find an episode, good luck. But it's not out there anymore. Ruben interviewed bigger guests than we've ever interviewed.
Sure. Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, Ruben interviewed Lou Ferrigno.
JP Sears.
Yeah, and Adam Carolla.
Amongst others.
So, anyway, so Ruben was doing a podcast, and I was really enjoying listening to his podcast. I was like, I want to do one. I want to do a podcast like Ruben. So what could I talk about without very little prep? And I thought, who's going to want to listen to me? And then without prep. And then I thought, oh, Rocky. I could talk about Rocky all the time. And so I didn't know how to do a podcast. I didn't even know how to put one on the interwebs. And I went to my brother Ruben and said, hey, do you want to join me on this venture? Because you're already doing this. And he said, yes, let's do it. And 100 episodes later, you and I are still podcasting this great series, the Rocky Series podcast, or the Rocky Series, sorry. And I'm really happy that we're doing this.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
We've had so season 4, this is kind of like, it's episode 100, but really it's also the wrap up of season 4, which is Rocky 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to talk about Rocky 5.
I am too.
And I think we actually
I'm more excited about that episode than I am, or that
season,
that number of the franchise, than maybe any of the others.
We have a lot of listeners that are really anxious for us to talk about Rocky 5. And believe it or not, a lot of people are very passionate about Rocky 5 and are great defenders of Rocky 5. And I think when we started this podcast, the Rocky podcast, I think we kind of expected that a lot of people would hate Rocky 5, or a lot of people would almost consider season 5 as going to be a joke. But it seems like a lot of the comments have been, people are looking forward to us talking about Rocky 5. It's actually a favorite amongst, I think people have grown to love this movie. We'll talk more about that when we talk about Rocky 5, but I know for me, I've softened on it over the years myself, actually. And I think it's actually aged pretty good compared to some of the other Rocky films. You know what I mean by that?
I think so.
Okay, so one of the things that I asked people to do, Ruben, was to send us an email to tell us about their thoughts about Rocky as a franchise, and to share their love for us as podcasters. Ruben and I actually have another podcast, which we have another podcast called The Worst of the Best Podcast. So for our listeners of this show, if you like what Ruben and I do so much that you want to see more and hear more of Ruben and Ryan, go check out The Worst of the Best Podcast. Now, we posted an episode there on conspiracy theories recently, and it was posted on Reddit. And we actually got a little bit of a bump on our podcast because I posted our episode on Reddit, and the conspiracy theorist population is very popular.
Is it?
Yeah, or is it? And we actually got some feedback from our Worst of the Best episode on conspiracy theories. And the feedback we got was interesting. But one of the things or two people actually said that we have good voices for podcasts.
I think it was good faces for.
No, we
podcasts.
we have faces for radio, and we have voices for podcasts. So, anyways, I thought that was kind of interesting that these new listeners of our voices thought we had good voices for podcasts, which I'll take. They weren't that crazy about our show. Who is? Who is crazy about
They
our
have
show?
good taste. They have good taste.
Yeah.
So episode 100. Episode 100 it's a landmark. When you're doing a hobby, you reach something where you're like, okay, I've really kind of done something. We have a body of work.
Yeah, 100 is no small number. I'm really proud of ourselves. I'm really proud. And let's let's read a couple of our emails. So bear with us, but people are listening to this episode who actually emailed us. They want us to talk about their emails. That's why they emailed us.
Yep.
And we're going to kind of bounce off what they tell us. So Ruben actually hasn't seen these emails yet. So as per normal, Ryan takes care of all the social media and all the interaction with our fans. So I'll read this one from Sal. You ready?
Emotionally, sure.
Okay. So he goes, yo. A lot of the people started off.
Yo, Sal.
Yo, Sal, what up? He goes, he says here, guys, Sal here. I just found your podcast recently, and it's awesome hearing lifelong Rocky fans like himself, break down the movies like you two do. So thanks, Sal.
Yeah, thanks, Sal. I like to believe it's Cousin Sal from Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Yeah. Well, I've seen his picture on Twitter, and it's not Cousin Sal.
Either way, thanks, Sal.
You want to believe that? That's fine. Hey, what up, Lee? Lee just said hi. Lee Berkowitz is one of our faithful listeners. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. He said, so Sal goes on to say, I really think you guys are going to be a big success. Keep it up and keep punching.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
Sal, we love you. If you want to follow Sal on Twitter, it's at Showtime Sal. Check him out. Oh, he says here, also, I forgot if it was Ryan or Ruben, but one of you said you lived in New Jersey for a little while. And I was curious where, because I'm from Jersey and live only an hour away from Philly. Do you want to tell him where you might have been for that time?
Sure, mainly Newark.
There you go. Newark, New Jersey, where Ruben was for some time. So thanks to our East Coast listeners. And I just want to say we have a lot of listeners from the East Coast. A lot of Philly or Pennsylvania. Jersey is a big one. And in New York. So we want to thank you guys for listening. The East Coast loved their Rocky.
Yeah. I won't even tell the story, but I did get, speaking of boxing in Jersey, I did get beat up pretty good there.
Ruben was beaten up in Jersey. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good story. And were you able to throw some punches back, defend yourself at all?
Oh, man. I bravely ran away.
Good. What is it? Run away to fight another day?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Also outnumbered, outskilled.
So this is this next email is from another faithful listener. His name is E.M. King. He says, yo, another yo.
Yo, E.M. King.
E.M. King, right there. E.M. King. All right, yo, guys at Going the Distance, let me just say I look forward to your podcast and find it difficult to wait for the next one.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
It blows. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ruben, as you understand, you have to understand, Ruben doesn't read any of your emails.
None.
He doesn't go on Twitter.
No.
He doesn't go on Facebook, on our feed. So everything that you guys see on Twitter, on Facebook, and on emails is Ryan.
99.9% of the time. Anytime that I have done something, it always goes like sideways.
Sure. We love Ruben. He's my favorite co-host. Of all the co-hosts I have on this show, Ruben, you're still my favorite.
You know what? And I gotta say, I love you like a brother.
And I love you like a brother. So, yeah, it's weird that E.M. King, he actually finds it difficult to wait for the next episode.
I love when I'm listening to something and I'm wanting the next episode. Like, it can't happen fast enough, or you can't turn the page fast enough.
But isn't it weird? I know we don't have a huge audience, but I'm always surprised that anybody would find us interesting enough that they're looking forward to another episode.
That's great.
Yeah, we love it. Thank you. We're humbled by that, is what I should say. He says, this is great job by all involved. Yes, we have a lot of help from other podcast listeners and co-hosts. But he brings up some good stuff here that we can talk about.
Let's hear it.
He says the people who make each Rocky movie what it is, and without them, these movies may have failed. And he goes through each movie, and it's really quick here. Says why each movie, kind of like the most valuable player in each movie. So I think this is a good thing to talk about. He says for Rocky 1, the true star of the show is, of course, Sly, his best performance. He says, in particular, his excellent nonverbal acting. Watch his eyes when he finds out about his shot at the title. That's a very good point. Remember that scene where?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So when Rocky hears from Juergens, you want to fight the big fight? And his eyes say it all as he's just letting that soak in that this is going to happen in his life. He goes for Rocky 2.
By the way, you're saying he is E.M. King. We don't know if it's...
It's Rocky. Rocky's
No,
not Sly.
okay, I thought you were saying...
Oh, no.
I thought you were referring to E.M. King as he.
Sorry, my apologies. I referred to Sly's acting, not E.M. King's acting.
Okay, I don't know. Okay.
It was a misplaced modifier. My apologies.
E.M. King, man or woman?
Yeah, I think it's a guy. I don't think we have any female listeners.
No, the very first person to love this episode is Caddy.
Madama.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Caddy.
Yeah.
And
she's a TV host.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Looks like
so we have one female listener. Thank you.
And also our mother.
Yes, so we have 2 female listeners. Our wives certainly don't listen.
Well, actually, my wife listened recently.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's a better woman than me. Okay.
It's an episode that I wasn't hosting on.
That's probably why she liked it. Just joking. All right. He said for Rocky 2 that the true star is Burgess Meredith as Mickey.
Sure.
For Rocky 3, he's got to give it to Mr. T and Carl Weathers. He says, I mean, wow, when Apollo finds Rocky at the gym, it's great. Then the whole training thing, forget about it. Mr. T as a new badass opponent is spectacular. Yeah. Rocky 4, this one goes to Dolph Lundgren, as no one could have pulled off the massive Russian. True.
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren was amazing in Rocky 4.
Hey, a little pause on that.
Of course.
I saw Aquaman last night.
Okay, so Dolph...
I had no idea Dolph Lundgren was in Aquaman.
Oh, really?
Until the credits rolled. Now, of course I know who he is.
Yeah.
Like, of course. But, like, during the movie, I thought, geez, I don't know who that guy is, but he sure looks like Dolph Lundgren.
That's hilarious.
And then the credits were like, that was Dolph? I had no idea that he could get a role so big and such a big blockbuster.
Now, how many minutes of screen time did Dolph have in Aquaman? Do you think?
Significant. It was
really?
Yeah. It was on par with Willem Dafoe's, on par with Nicole Kidman.
Wow.
A very integral role to the film.
Well, I believe he plays Aqua's father.
No,
you don't have to say.
Amber Heard's father.
Oh, Amber's father. Okay.
Aqua Girl's father.
Aqua Girl father. Okay.
Yeah.
How was she in that? How was the movie? Did you enjoy the movie? It's doing great business at the box office right now.
I was entertained.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm critical of all comic book stuff.
Sure.
But so ultimately, I just go whether I'm entertained or not.
Okay.
And I was entertained, and I did find Mwambo, what's his name? Aqua fish guy.
I don't know. Black Mamba.
Yeah, he. Right.
You gotta scroll down for people are talking to
Well,
us.
people are talking. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that. So, but anyways, long story short, Aquafina. He was like, I think you just kind of choose to love him,
right?
But I'm not sure what to say.
All right.
Looks like he was ready to be like, oh, look at all these comments.
Yeah.
I teach Rocky class tonight, says Lee.
Yeah, so Lee is somebody that's contacted me, and he teaches a Rocky class, and
Cherry Hill. Hey,
yeah,
Lee.
Yeah, another New Jersey listener. Jersey, what up, Jersey? So he teaches a Rocky class, and I would like to feel free, Lee, to in the chat here to say what it is you teach about Rocky.
Yeah, he also says he has a trivia question. Yeah, let's hear it, brother.
Lee, so Dolly King. AK, what up, brothers? What up, Dolly? Good to talk to you. And lastly, Cotty, our one female listener, said, you boys just rock Rocky. I'll watch Rocky and Rocky-related movies anytime. Rocky represents so much. You boys are totally fun. I have produced 3 TV shows, so I know talent when I see it. Now, she says she knows talent when she sees it, but is she referring to us?
We don't know.
We don't know.
That's what we call a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Keep going. One day they'll do a movie about you guys. That will be a box office bomb. All right. Alex, hey, what up? And go Seahawks. Sure, Alex. Whatever. Seahawks. All right. And Lee, give us the trivia question. Okay. Let's go back to this email. Rocky Five. This is now. I can't wait to talk about Rocky Five. And E.M. King brings up a good point that Talia Shire's Adrian, was the MVP for Rocky Five. She was awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And her performance in the street when she's talking to Rocky about you're losing your son. That's a great moment in that movie, and I can't wait
I
to
can
talk
hear
about.
the voice in my head.
Yeah, she does a great job. And I'm still kind of crushed and heartbroken that Talia Shire wasn't in Rocky Balboa. I know taking her out of Rocky's life is a big dramatic thing, but I would I would say, and we'll save it for season 6 discussion, but having Talia Shire as Adrian in Rocky 6, I think would have been better. She could have got the lady cancer between 6 and Creed, maybe that would have been better. But again, they weren't expecting Creed to continue the franchise. So I think I understand it now, but I think if they knew that Creed was going to be in the future, I think if they thought Creed was going to happen, they might have kept Adrian alive for part 6 and maybe had her pass away for Creed.
Yeah, usually I find it lazy in film where like the parents die, somebody dies because you don't need to write about them.
Right.
However, I think it served the movie best, and perhaps if they realize they're going to do for 2 more films,
Okay.
to keep her. But
Yeah.
I'm glad she died.
So I'm glad she's dead. It was more entertaining. Lee had a question. He says, name all the people of the Sylvester Stallone family from each movie. Well, Lee, I'm the one that asked this question on our page some time ago, so I don't think it's fair that I should answer. But I'll do it just really quickly off the top of my head, see if I got it here. So he's saying those who were related to Sylvester Stallone. So we got Stallone's father, we got Frank Stallone, we've got his first wife Sasha was in it, his son Sergey, his son Sage, Butkus, his dog, Bridget Nielsen, his second wife. I think that's it. Maybe think of a cousin or something. Oh, of course, his current wife. So he's had all 3 wives. His current wife, what's her name? Flavor Stone again? Flava Stallone. She was also in Rocky 5. She was like one of the girls. So there you go. I think I got them all. Okay. E.M. King says, congrats on the 100. Thanks, E.M. Thanks for your email. Appreciate that. Okay, this next email is from one of our, I will say this about this guy. His name is Greg. I don't think we should be saying his full name. His name is Greg. And he's one of our biggest correspondents when it comes to email. He sends me these really big emails. I can't read them all, and I can't read them all through. But I want to say...
That's okay. With enough practice and time, you'll be able to get there, Ryan.
Thank you. I just want to say for Greg that we appreciate your input. We appreciate your passion. And he calls us out on stuff, which is good. And one of the things that he calls us out, we'll get to that later. But, okay, so this is his email right here, though, where he is just saying congratulations on our show, I think. No, that's not the one. We'll get to him later. Oh, my bad. Okay, we'll get to Greg later because he brings up something that I want to challenge him back on. This one's from Bob O'Rourke, and he gave us a huge email. And it's really, Ruben, I'll have you read it after the show.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's really cool. He really talks about what Rocky's meant in his life.
He even spelled my name right.
He did spell it right. Yeah, so kudos to Bob for that.
Thanks, Bob.
He asked us how we're doing.
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good too.
It was a busy day, but, I went the distance.
So he goes, I love what you guys do with the podcast, and I've always been a fan. I've been a fan for a while now. He's binged from the beginning earlier this year, and he caught up somewhere around the middle or end of Rocky 2, maybe. He goes, anyway, I'm here for the long haul, brothers. I love all the Rocky movies, yes, even Rocky 5, a film which I vehemently defend to this day. Sure, it's not perfect, but I love it. And how could anyone top the highs of Rocky 4? So he's saying that Rocky 5 is almost a victim of Rocky 4.
Sure.
But he talks about how he watched the A-Team with his dad, so he was a fan of Mr. T at a young child.
I can watch Turner and Turner.
His parents took him to Rocky 4 when he was 3 years old.
Wow.
And apparently he just was so enthralled by the movie that he didn't even use popcorn. His parents put pillows on the seat to watch Rocky.
Nice. And by the way, if I was there and I saw a 3-year-old in the thing, I would be stressed out the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
But your parents obviously knew their kid.
Yeah, he was enthralled by this. And back in the
Cool.
day, you have to even remember back in '85, 3-year-olds didn't have the stimulus that they have now. So a big screen movie kind of held our attention a little bit more than. And it was only 90 minutes long.
I wonder if he had Rocky pajamas like Lee. He says he's got the Rocky pajamas on today.
Oh, good job, Lee. Send us a photo. All right. So anyways, he talks about his childhood with all this stuff, and I love what he says here. He said, oh, where was it? Oh, right here, that he met Stallone. Wow. So it goes in 2005. Wow. I actually got to meet Sylvester Stallone. This is a really good story, so I'm going to read it.
Please do. Yeah.
Somehow I found out he was doing a book signing at Barnes & Noble in New York. I hopped on the train and went up there to check it out and meet the man himself, hoping for a picture or a handshake. I'll never forget the seemingly endless walk to the end of the line. So I guess there was already a huge lineup by the time we got there. We were told that Sly would only be signing copies of his Sly Moves book, which needed to be bought inside before lining up. Good old Barnes & Noble. I grabbed 2 copies, one for myself and one for my future sister-in-law, who's also a Rocky fan. Anyway, the line moved very quickly, as they had everything organized and planned out. No photos, no handshake, and no personalized autographs.
Maybe it was just Mike Kunda.
Yeah, it might have been Kunda. So basically saying the line is him signing book.
Sure.
So anyway, I guess you almost have to, or else the line's not going to move.
Yeah, of course.
Anyways, the line moved very quickly. You said that already. When I was finally got up there, someone took my 2 books, opened them up to the title pages, and placed them on the table that Sly was sitting at, which was about 15 feet from where the line was. I couldn't believe it. There he was, mere feet from me. As he signed my books, I thought to myself, say something, you idiot. Now, hopefully he didn't say that to Sly. He said it to himself. Okay, good. Imagine, say something, you idiot, Sly. So he said to Sly, he goes, thanks, Sly, was all he could muster. Surprisingly, he looked up at me. You're welcome, he said in his trademark voice. Mission accomplished, yo.
Manners. It goes a long way.
Yeah. So I think, Bob, by you just saying thank you to Sly, it did wonders for you. So that's an awesome story. He gives more here about going to Philadelphia, going to the Rocky statue, seeing the sights, going on the tour, all that good stuff. So he also wanted to say, though, that we mentioned in one of our previous episodes where we talk about the word bum being an insult.
Yeah.
And he said that in his life on the East Coast, it was kind of a term of endearment that his grandmother used to call him a bum all the time. For being a bit of a prankster, a bit of a, it's kind of more of a prank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Ruben's name was misspelled various times for these emails. So this is, which I won't.
It's okay.
It's okay.
My parents, as you know, Ryan's my younger brother.
Yes, we're both our parents. Yeah.
They met in a Jewish deli. They both reached for the same Reuben sandwich.
Yeah, and when they named me, they were reaching for rye bread.
Yeah. Anyways, 9 months later, I was born. But anyways, that's a story for another time.
Yeah, we won't tell that one. All right, so he goes, hey, Ryan, Ruben, just a quick email to wish you both and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, this is from UK Dave. He goes, thank you for another year of awesome Rocky and Stallone content. I know it's a lot of work for you guys to do, and it's very much appreciated. Well, it's a lot of work for me. I don't know about Ruben. So thanks, UK.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, UK Dave.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to Ruben. We're both busy, but I do all the editing. And I will say, only one person could really edit. I guess I could edit half the show, send you the other file. You edit the second half of the show, or you do every second show. But
I'm in the passenger seat here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. He says he's now off to listen to a couple of the podcast episodes as he's waiting in the theater to watch Creed 2.
Nice. Do you know how great it would have been to see Creed 2 with our listeners?
I know. We don't have any fans in our hometown.
We went there. It was a pretty diverse crowd.
Yeah, when Ruben and I saw it, it was a diverse crowd, and we don't have any listeners in Victoria, British Columbia. Not really any faithful listeners. But if we did or we do, we apologize. But when Creed 3 comes out, maybe we'll see it together as a listening group.
Yeah.
All right. Now this one's from a fellow. I think he wants to. I don't know. We'll call him. Well, his Twitter name is Chester Copperpot. He knows who he is.
I hope so.
Now this is really incredible. He says here, I drive over 600 miles a day.
What?
600 miles a day. And one day he stumbled across our podcast looking for something to listen to pass the time. So, being a huge Rocky fan, this podcast seemed right up my alley, he said. But the first, no, okay, I love this. Thank you, Chester, for being honest. He goes, the first few episodes, all they talked about us was about how bad they sound and Burt Reynolds and the bearskin rug. I guess he wasn't a fan of our constant bearskin rug references that we did at the beginning of our season or our show. But something happened, he said. Ryan and Ruben
We stopped talking about Burt.
We stopped talking about Burt. Well, actually, maybe our listeners aren't aware of this. Maybe we should tell them.
Well, let's tell them what.
Well, Chester Copperpot brought up Burt and the bear rug.
Yeah.
And I don't think our listeners may or may not know about this. No, if you want to, Google at your own risk. I would recommend doing this after you listen to this episode. But Google at your own risk, Burt Reynolds on a bear rug. And what you'll see will blow your mind.
In all seriousness, it birthed the Playgirl magazine.
Yes, it did.
That's how important Burt is to the world.
Okay. So, Chester, we promise we won't talk about Burt anymore. Okay, that's our promise to you. For the next 100 episodes, well, yeah. Sorry, Chester. It's coming up again. All right. But he says something clicked, and we became professional podcasters.
Or Stockholm Syndrome
I think
set in.
I think you're absolutely right. I think he just got used to our inability to be proper podcasters.
Well, thank you, Mr. Copperpot.
He goes, he's learned so much more about Rocky than he ever thought he could from us.
Yeah.
Wow. And he's listened to every podcast, and he's thrilled when a new one is released. Thrilled. I love it.
Wow.
He goes, I think anything that brings you back to your childhood is magnified. It seems like yesterday I was jogging with my Sony Walkman and the Rocky III soundtrack so I could make the high school basketball team.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Did you make it?
Tell us.
Tell us. Being able to watch these movies with my son and nephew means so much to me. It's unbelievable that another generation get to enjoy the spirit of Rocky. Thanks so much, Ryan and Ruben. Your work is appreciated. I can't wait till we celebrate our 200th. All the best. Quit pushing. I think it might quit pushing. I don't know what that means. Or don't stop punching. Anyway, quit pushing. What does that mean? Quit pushing.
I think it's supposed to be keep punching.
Keep punching. P.S. He goes, feel free to talk about my Creed 3 possible storyline. Yeah, we'll look into that. We'll say that for another episode. So anyways, this one is from, thank you, Chester. That was very kind of you, really kind of you. Name isn't on here. I think this is
Greg.
This is the Greg one. Sorry, thank you. This is Greg. Greg is the one that emails us a lot, which we really appreciate. And he has a lot of great things to say. He says, congratulations, 100 episodes is really an amazing milestone achievement for any podcast. And you should both be very proud of making it this far. It's very obvious that this is a true labor of love to both of you, and Rocky fans alike, myself, are truly grateful for the hours and hours of entertainment insight you provided these last 3 years.
Yeah, about 100 hours, eh?
Yeah, it's been, I guess, all these hours.
Wow.
And then he mentions this is great, Greg. Thank you so much. He mentions the people we've interviewed. It goes from Ben Fiore, Mike Kunda, Michael Vitaz, and Robin Schubert Nichols, and Tim Carr, to Felice Canatore, to Vince Nicola, and Robert Tepper, and Robert Dornick, and Trisha Morrison, not to mention Jim Toscano, Derek Wayne Johnson, Kersey Strain, and Jessica Friedman, one of his personal favorites.
Isn't that crazy?
You've had some truly amazing interview episodes, all the while continue to chronicle the Rocky movies from the beginning. Wow, that's really heartfelt, Greg. That's really kind of you.
Yeah.
To literally spell it out for us.
Yeah.
So he goes into his Rocky journey, and I'm sorry that we can't, for the sake of time, go through every bit of this. But we are going to give you special attention in just a second here. So,
I want to mention.
Oh, yeah.
Scroll up. He says that Balboa, 2006, was his first chance to see Rocky in a theater on the big screen.
Yeah, so he was a little bit younger.
Because of the over 40 years.
Yeah.
We all see it on the big screen at different times.
Yeah, that's crazy. Our first time was Rocky 3. Some people have been, a couple of our emails mentioned their first time was Rocky 5. That's kind of a common one. And Ruben, was your first time? Yeah, your first time was 3 or 4. Probably 4.
Probably 4.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's 3, but it's probably just like a false memory.
I think so, because you would have been very young, very young. But anyways, yeah, so Rocky Balboa in 2006 was his first one. That's really cool. And Yeah, he goes, so once again, I'd just like to say thank you to you both for giving me another outlet for my Rocky fandom. May the next 100 episodes be even better than the first. Well, they can't be much worse. And and he's very much looking forward to seasons 5 through 8. So he's referring to right through the Creed series themselves. Now, this is where that was nice, Greg. This is Greg throwing some punches in a good way.
Is it the same Greg?
It's the same Greg.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah. So let's just talk about this. He goes, he's referring to our Creed 2 review that we did a while back there. Okay.
We got a lot of flack for it.
We did get a lot of flack for our Creed 2 review. Now, it's okay. I want to first say this. I'm not making excuses, but
Please don't.
when we did that review, that's by no means the caliber of show that you and I tried to do. We don't really have a caliber, baby, but
I think I brought my best.
okay. Ruben brought his best. I was a little bit off my A game because we had just recently saw the film. We didn't have any notes in front of us. We didn't take notes during the movie. It was really kind of like an emotional review.
Sure.
You know, it was like, this is how Creed 2 made us feel. These are moments that stuck out in our minds. So everything was kind of what I call was accentuated. Is that the right word?
Oh, maybe.
Okay. So the things that were good in that film, I really, really loved at that moment. The things that I didn't like, I was really hard on. And so he goes here. He goes, as I said on Twitter, so he called me out on Twitter with this. He says, I think you guys are just way off base with your criticism of Bianca's music.
Greg.
Bless your heart, Greg.
That's adorable.
So he goes, without a doubt, he
Uh-huh.
says, I believe it's a cultural and possibly generational disconnect. Now, he's much younger than us. I'll give him that.
Okay, I don't think I'm about cultural. This is going to sound kind of weird, but a couple days ago, I was talking with Beyonce's producer. Same culture.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, Ruben was talking to, well, explain it. Like, how are you talking to Beyonce's producer?
Yeah. Wild, eh?
Wow. One of her many producers, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's lots, but he's like New York Times, Justin.
And he's white.
Stage name.
Seriously, he's white.
He's white, little guy, super cool, very nice. He just flew in to Victoria Airport, took the cab to my work to meet his friend, who, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so I knew about him before this meeting, and I was excited to talk music, even if it was Beyonce. Why was I bringing this up? Cultural.
Yeah, he says he's over 35 himself and he's white. So he's saying that he's close to our age bracket and he's our cultural background because I guess we're all white here.
Yeah, North American Caucasian guys, yeah.
Sure. And the music didn't bother him, but I'm going to get more here. He goes, I'm a little disappointed you spent so much time, and he must be loving that we're spending more time. I'm a little disappointed you spent so much time on your dislike of her songs.
Oh, please, I wish they spent more time making a good song.
Yeah. Than all the aspects of the movie you enjoyed. Okay. So
I gave no grief to Living in America, James Brown.
Because it's a fun song.
That's a cultural divide there.
Yeah, James Brown.
Generational, cultural,
Yeah.
different country, nothing. Great tune.
Yeah, Living in America is a lot of fun.
That stands the test of time.
There you go. So there you go.
Let's
Greg.
revisit Bianca's crap song.
It's a horrible song, and I stand by this.
20 years from now, nobody's going to be still singing that stupid song.
Now, you can argue James Brown or the corniness of Rocky IV, but nobody watches Rocky IV.
No.
Living in America song comes on. You're tapping your feet. You're not bored.
No, you're not bored
at all.
It has a campiness to it that you love.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's in Vegas. It's in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's literally, that's what Vegas is. And it's a fun song. And I said this before, and I'll say it again, that Bianca singing the song before Adonis comes out for the final fight, I don't think she should have sang. And what made it even more worse was the fact that the song itself was terrible. If the song was fun, like a James Brown type fun song, then it wouldn't have been as embarrassing. I felt embarrassed.
Imagine if Adonis, during Bianca's concert, went on stage there and started dancing or boxing.
Right.
During her performance.
Right.
That would make no sense.
Yeah, this didn't make sense.
Similarly, it did not make sense.
Now, people have argued, Ruben, the reason why they get behind it is because it's showing Adonis and Bianca are both supportive of each other's careers. But like you're saying, it doesn't make, you don't have to mix careers to be supportive of the
Sure.
career. But I stand by that Bianca's song is terrible. Even in the movie and outside the movie, it's not a good song. And I don't understand why people think it's a good song. I don't know if it's the love of Tessa Thompson. They feel bad for her, but whatever. But Greg, we love you, and I appreciate this. And we spent more time on this thanks to your email. He goes on to say some good things about us too. Don't get me wrong, but that was a big bone to pick. Oh, he got mad at us for making the deaf baby joke too.
What deaf baby
That was
joke?
me. That was me. I made a deaf baby joke. I said that the baby was lucky that it was deaf, that it didn't have to listen to her mom singing.
You know, there's a lot of people in the deaf community that don't believe that being deaf is
It was a joke.
a disability.
I'm just saying, it was a joke. It was maybe in poor taste, and I'm making fun of a baby that's in the movie. It's not a real. I'm just saying, and it was in poor taste. I apologize, but he said here that he called me on it. Goes some of the jokes, like the deaf baby joke, was more cringeworthy than Bianca's music. I thought it was funny.
Again, did you hear the songs?
Yeah, I think the only one that was happy that night was the baby.
So, a very small sidetrack. I was at a party once, met somebody whose parents were both deaf.
Okay.
If you're in the situation where you meet somebody whose parents are both deaf, talk to them. You're gonna have some great stories.
Okay, interesting.
That's all. Just a gift I'm giving to you.
Yeah, well, I'll look forward to it. I never get invited to parties, so we'll see. So, Greg, thank you for your input, and we're just harping on you a little bit, but we're going to push back a little bit. You called us out. We'll call you out back. Not you, but the points.
Honestly, Greg, it's about time that people put censorship onto jokes.
That's right. And
if anything that's taught me about Rocky is that we got to be weak and let things offend us.
That's right. We love you, Greg. We do. He says here, just to wrap up, he actually did say here.
I'm sorry, Greg.
No, Ruben's just fooling around. He goes, he says here, I hope I don't come off as too harsh with my own criticism because I love your podcast and also loved your overall enthusiasm in your review of this movie. And we love you too, Greg. And I hope we didn't come off as too harsh. we're just fooling around. And he says, just to wrap up, I really appreciate your podcast. Look forward to every week.
Thank you.
You can tell it's a labor of love, again, and that comes in the episodes. I hope you don't hold my Bianca defense against me. We don't, little. But I definitely enjoyed listening, as always. All right.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. It's very kind of you. So this next fan email is from Baz. I believe he's from the UK.
Sebastian Bach?
I think it's Sebastian Bach. Baz.
From Skid Row. That's his nickname.
It is. Thanks,
Do you remember that time we saw Sebastian Bach perform in like some club?
We've mentioned it in this podcast.
Have we really?
Yes, we have. Yes, we mentioned that. Yeah, I don't know what the context was, but we mentioned that you and I saw Sebastian Bach at a club.
Weird.
And it was 2000. It was the day after my son was born, and my ex-wife wasn't very happy about that.
But are you sure?
Yes.
I think you're misremembering.
No.
Did you do that because you did it with Megadeth?
No, I didn't. It was Sebastian Bach.
You did it with Megadeth.
It was. I don't know. I'll have to look at the ticket stub. All I know is my ex-wife never forgave me. Bless her heart. In not really angry way, but she always brought it up as a point of contention that I went to a concert the day after a child was born. I will say that I already had tickets. There's just no way of knowing when the baby would be born. Due dates would get. Everyone was healthy. She's in the hospital. Everybody was healthy. Like I wasn't.
There wasn't a deaf baby.
No, it was the baby could hear.
Mm-hmm.
It was all good. All right. So Bass says, "Yo, another yo." Everyone's starting. Yo, Ryan or Ruben. Before Rocky, I feel that I need to pay homage to the podcast. Started listening. Wow, we'll be over a year now. I think you guys were about 50 episodes in. Because many people probably would have cheated and skipped a few. However, I really did go the distance. Congrats. And listened to each and every one till I was up to date. There you go. That's
wow.
Baz, you're the man. And you know what? I'm not trying to tell people to go back and listen to the early episodes, but it really is a podcast that you have to do the journey. Because every season is each film. Rocky's 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And we do interviews throughout them as well. And I think we do grow as a show. I think the first few episodes are tough to get through. And there's been times actually that I've wanted to go back and, I don't know, redo the first ones, but I'm like, no, that's who we were, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because I'll tell you right now, and our listeners that are listening, I'll tell you right now, the stats from the first episode to the second one is a 70% drop off.
Wow.
Now, maybe you could argue people download the first episode and they go like Baz is saying, they download episode 1, like I'll just go to episode 50 or 60. That may have happened with some people, but if you just look at the straight up numbers, for every 1,000 downloads of episode 1,
Yeah, but
episode 2 has 300.
do you know how many people read the books that they buy?
Oh, I don't know.
10%.
Really?
So we're doing better than books.
There you go. And but yeah, it's fair.
Take that, books.
Well, one of our previous listeners did mention that we were pretty shoddy our first few episodes.
Yeah, fair enough.
So Jim Toscano, welcome to the broadcast here, buddy. Jim, we've interviewed on our show, and he did the Pretender movie that stars Mike Kunda. It's a documentary about Mike Kunda. Jim, if you want to plug your show right now, tell us, when are we going to get this thing on Amazon, Netflix? I want to stream this thing. I will pay money to watch this, and you're not giving me that chance, man. I want to see this thing, and I can't fly out there to see it, just so you know. People want to see this movie, The Pretender, starring Mike Kunda. And Jim Toscano was a documentarian that actually put it together, so kudos to him and bravo to him. And he also said that if we edit all our podcasts together, it's about a 137-hour audiobook. So free on Amazon. Our sponsor, Amazon, would love to do that. So back to Baz. He goes on with his email that he loves. He's got a love affair for the franchise. He goes, a few years ago, I was lucky enough to see Stallone speak live.
Wow.
And that night he gave a quote. I love this. That night he gave a quote that for me, he says, was Rocky talking. And I've tried to live by it since and instill it into my children. What I love about some of these themes regarding Rocky and our listeners and Rocky fans is that they're passing on to their children the Rocky movies. And I've done that for my boys, my older kids, the ones that are 12 and over. I've shown them the Rocky films. And I think it's something that fathers and mothers do for their children, showing this franchise. And it doesn't age the way you would think it would age. Some of the cheesiness in Rocky 3 and 4 kind of age, but you know what I'm getting, the message, the enthusiasm that, what about you? Are you going to share it with your daughters?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Jim says that hopefully streaming will be ready this spring or summer. And some big festival announcements are coming soon, so thanks, guys. Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Jim, and the Pretender movie. Give your support to that. Go like them on Facebook. Okay, here's the quote. Sorry. So this is the quote. This is the quote from Stallone. You ready? He says, "Do I think Zeppelin, Elvis, Da Vinci were the greatest? No, but they could take rejection. They got back up after rejection. That's what the greats do. Well, people who may have been the greats gave up after the first rejection." So I love that. Stallone is saying that the greats are the people that keep going after the rejection. Stallone, as we know, has had rejection after rejection regarding his own Rocky franchise. And I'd throw Stallone in that mix, that you just keep going despite the rejections.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and he's saying that there's people who probably are great or have something great to offer, have given up after the first rejection. And you and I have been rejected numerous times. And let me talk about that. We're talking about our show, what the show has meant to us.
Sure.
We've done a lot of interviews, right?
Yeah.
Have we been rejected for any interviews?
Most.
Yeah, most of them. So Ruben and I'll tell our listeners how we do it. So what I do, usually it's me, is I will just cold contact people of interest, people who are somehow tied to the Rocky franchise, the Rocky movies, Rocky books, Rocky photography, whatever it is, and ask for an interview. And 99 times out of 100, I'm rejected. Some people are kind enough to say thanks, but no thanks. But for the most part, people just don't respond.
Do you remember who said yes and then didn't follow through? Okay, I'll give you.
Oh, should we say this?
I'll give you a clue. A Blues Clue.
Oh, yes. That is right. So the dude that played, what was his name?
Steve.
Steve, the actor that played Steve from Blues Clues, straight up told Ruben and I that he would do our show. About 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we followed through with it. We kept bugging him, saying, "Hey, we're still up for it."
Steve Burns, we still are.
Yeah, Steve, this is not Steve. I'm not trying to burn you, Steve Burns, but We would love to have you on our show. You know what, Ruben? I'm gonna recontact him.
Sure, why not?
I'm gonna recontact him.
Yeah.
So Steve Burns was somebody who legitimately said he would come on our show, and he was pretty hyped to do it. Then he probably found out that we're just a mom and pop, small time podcast. But since Steve Burns burned on us, we've had multiple interviews. Jim Toscano being one of them. And we've had multiple interviews, and people who've and we want to say to those who have come on our show, those who have guest co-hosts to replace Ruben, those who have come on our show as guests, we want to thank you for putting your trust in me and Ruben that we're not going to give you cheap shots in an interview.
Those are the most humbling.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
And we've had some, go to our podcast feed and you'll see the interviews. We've had some incredible people. So Jim wants to know who's our favorite interview so far. Well, Jim, other than you, of course. I don't really want to answer that, not because I don't have an answer or I don't want to offend anybody, but every single interview, and this is cliche, has been really enlightening to some degree. I have learned and I appreciate other people's journey in their life. I really personally enjoy giving the interviews. I've heard from some people that we do okay with our interviews. But I don't really have a favorite because they're all really great, and I love talking to people as much as I love talking. Are we getting something bad here?
No, I just remember that I got a text message from gold medal Olympian Adam Creek.
Okay.
Have you heard of Goggins? Haven't read his stuff. There's a great interview in Joe Rogan. He talks about where the Rocky movie, being his motivation transformed from a 297-pound fatso into the toughest nails ultra marathoning Navy SEAL. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Anyways, he talks about the scene on Apollo when Apollo Creed beats the crap out of Rocky. Even though Rocky's beat up, he gets up. The look on Apollo's face was what David Goggins wanted everyone to see. Could be a great topic for your podcast.
Thank you, gold Olympian Adam Creek.
Gold medal.
Yeah, gold medal. So see, look, Ruben and I have connections. We have gold medalists talking to us all the time, bro.
Actually, Adam's a great guy.
Yeah, I don't know him. Ruben knows him. I don't know him. All right, so Jared said here, been listening for about a month after he watched Creed 2 because he was looking for more Rocky content. So thank you, Jared. And he says, you guys hit the spot.
Awesome.
Cheers. Thanks, Jared. Appreciate that.
I'm sure we're not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm glad we're Jared's.
No, we're barely anyone's cup of tea. I must break this podcast. He goes, I love the show. Would you mind giving my show a shootout? Oh, sorry, a shutout. Why did I read a shootout? Got hockey on my mind. So Sean Malloy, I believe that's his last name. Tell me if I'm wrong. So Sean, he does a podcast called I Must Break This Podcast. It's dedicated to Dolph Lundgren.
Awesome.
The career of Dolph Lundgren.
Well, I mentioned Dolph earlier. I'm not sure if you caught it. Depends when he came in the broadcast there, but I had no idea until after watching Aquaman that he was an Aquaman. Yeah,
so I Must Break This Podcast. Do you have any thoughts on Dolph's performance in Aquaman? Ruben just saw it and was surprised and pleasantly surprised to see Dolph in that film. And apparently he had a substantial role in it. So please, if you listen to this show, go check out I Must Break This Podcast because this is the podcast to listen to if you want to get everything about Dolph Lundgren. So basically, it's the equivalent of Rocky for us that this podcast does for Dolph. How's that for a plug? Is that good enough for a plug? Okay. All right. So our last email. So thanks, Baz from the UK. Thanks for the congratulations. Our last email is really quick. He says, this is from Andy, and Andy is a great supporter of the show. He's the one that sends me free movies via Gmail when I have movies to review on our crossover episodes with the Rocky Minute and Slycast. He says, thanks so much for doing this podcast. It's a great source of entertainment. While I'm newer to the online Rocky Stallone community, something that I've noticed is everyone is always so nice and wants to talk about things.
And by the way, Greg, sorry if I was too rough. Speaking of being nice.
Ruben was just pretending. He's not really angry. Greg, we love you. If Greg stops listening, it's Ruben's fault. Okay. Greg, we appreciate your passion because it keeps us honest. You know what I mean? He seems that Andy goes on to say, it seems other fandoms benchmark or have snotty fans. He goes, maybe I haven't run into those for the Rocky Stallone fans, but he says they're always welcoming and love to share bits of information and stories. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that we brought up to our interview. Remember that Sports Illustrated interview? For our listeners, Ruben and I were interviewed for Sports Illustrated, and we were rejected. Our our puff piece was rejected by Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
It didn't make the final cut. Mike Kuda made the final cut, so good for him. But Ruben and I did not make that final cut for the Sports Illustrated issue. But one of the things that I actually said to the interviewer was exactly what Andy was saying. That one of the things that I've loved about doing this podcast is meeting people online, on Twitter, on Facebook, and I just love the positivity of the comments, of the emails, of the comments about our show. Everything's so positive.
Well, it's a positive franchise.
Right.
The whole thing is based on positivity. It'd be weird if you're a big jerk, like in Rocky.
There's a couple of bad apples. There's been a couple of bad apples, but for the most part, if I would say 99%, no, like literally 99% of the fans are nice, easygoing fans. And so,
well, some of the fans are, I guess, Dolph Lundgren fans, like Ivan Drago fans.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
that's supposed to be a joke.
It was supposed to be a joke for.
I Must Break This.
Yeah,
podcast.
So the people that are jerks are fans of the I Must Break This podcast fans.
Speaking of the worst, the Pretender movie asks worst interview
about himself. Oh, he's asking what our worst interview is.
That's my take from it.
Okay. Okay. Actually, I do have a pick, and he doesn't listen to the show, so I don't really care. So yeah, it's a name. Now, there was an interview I did in the early part of our show. I think it's in the 30s of a Golden Gloves championship boxer who goes by the name of Cam F. Awesome. Okay. And he was one of the few people that actually reached out to me to be interviewed for my show. And yeah, you can find him on Wikipedia.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy. Yeah, I don't want to mess with him. So he actually has a legit Wikipedia page. He's a Golden Gloves champion. He has a Facebook page, all this stuff. So he actually reached out to me to do an interview. So we did the interview. It's on YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel. It's on our podcast feed. And you're asking me, well, Ryan, what makes him your worst? Now, I'll tell you why he's my worst. His intention was to blindside me about how much he hates Rocky. And he wanted to do that live.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny how we're talking to people that like the movie are positive.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So so he does it during the interview. He says, I've never seen the movie, and I don't want to, and I hate Rocky.
That's usually hatred right there. Hatred is just usually ignorance. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, oops, sorry about that. So that being said, I think I played it off pretty good. That I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I listened to the interview. Cam F. Awesome interview. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it. There's a big reveal where he tells me that he doesn't like Rocky, and I think I handled it deftly, as they say. Okay.
So he reached out just to be negative.
I don't want to use the word negative because
it's not positive. It's a gotcha.
It was a gotcha moment. I just don't want to, in case he listens, which is highly unlikely. He also has his own podcast, I think.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
So if you hate us, you might like him.
Sure.
Check him out. Apparently he's awesome.
So, Ruben, that was all our emails from that was basically all of our fans. All of our listeners literally emailed us.
Thank you.
All eight of them. All eight of our listeners. So thank you to our 8 listeners for emailing us. So we were 100% listeners emailed us. We appreciate that. And truly, guys, thanks for your emails. I'm sorry I couldn't read them all. Read them all or all of the emails. Just a little bit too much. But when I did read them, it actually really touched the soul. It did. It was really cool to hear from you guys. Before we close this episode, Ruben, our 100th episode, and before we close Season 4, give it up for Season 4, guys. This is amazing. So a round of applause for Season 4 is coming to an end. The episode after this, episode 101, should be Rocky 5. Rocky 5. And I just want to plug our YouTube channel because we started with episode 98. If you actually go to our YouTube channel, look at episode 98 and on our Facebook page, we are doing kind of a live reaction to the movie. So we're going to commentate on the movie as we see it. And you'll be able to see us and see the movie at the same time. We were able to figure it out and how to do it. A little side story here. YouTube blocked our episode 98.
Oh, really?
It did. They gave us a copyright claim.
Okay.
Yours truly, Ryan Balkin, challenged it. I contacted MGM Studios because that's who you did. I did a file.
Yeah.
I said under the Fair Use Act, because we're reacting to the film. We're not just showing the movie.
Yeah.
We're reacting to the film. So it falls under what's called the fair use doctrine. That's how these people can do those reaction videos.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was it automatically got flagged. You know what part got flagged? The if you can change speech. So they have bots. MGM, pays for bots to go on YouTube and scan. You found this dialogue that you can change, and so it just blocks the whole video, right? And so I responded to, and I got the claim. It worked. And so YouTube didn't come back and say that it had been approved. I just kept going back to my channel, and lo and behold, it was there again.
Nice.
So I said to them, look, we're just reacting to the movie. Our image is actually over top of the movie. We paused the movie. There's no way anyone could pirate this. There's no pirating here. It's not even the whole movie. It was the last 15 minutes or half hour of the movie.
Nice.
So MGM, I guess, was okay with that. So MGM, if you're listening, we're going to keep doing this throughout your films. So from now on, we're going to live react to the movies as we dissect them. So you, the viewer, if you want to, go to our YouTube channel and go to our Facebook channel. You'll see these videos, us like this, just like us talking, with the movie in the background. And so you're going to see and hear what we see and hear, and we're going to pause things and talk about it as we go. But these episodes will also be released and edited on your iTunes and audio if you don't like it doing it that way.
Your Spotify's.
Yeah. I thought people might be interested in that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to end with some trivia from Rocky IV, but I don't want to beat this dead horse because I think we've come to the hour mark on this episode. But there was a couple that were kind of interesting. Now this is for I Must Break This podcast. I don't know if he knows this, but over 8,000 people auditioned for the part of Ivan Drago. And it took Dolph Lundgren about 6 months to win the part because he was first turned down by the casting director for being too tall. But later he got the chance to send photos and meet Sly, who told him he had a good chance to get the part, but he advised him to gain 20 pounds of muscle. Jeez. So good job, Dolph, working hard to get that part.
Yeah. Set him up for life, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Tony Burton, rest in peace. There's a scene in Rocky IV where he's playing chess. He was actually a professional chess player in real life. He was an accomplished chess player in real life, having once defeated master chessman and director Stanley Kubrick on the set of The Shining.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting. Another interesting tidbit here. Bill Conti was unable to score the film because he was busy on the Karate Kid and Karate Kid Part 2 film scores, which doesn't make sense. 84, 90, 80s, well, probably just the 86 one. Yeah. I won't say, no, I shouldn't say this. I can't even say this. I just know some inside scoop about Vince DiCola. So Vince DiCola, though, did do the score for the soundtrack, and we did an interview with Vince DiCola. Amazing interview. Great guy. So thank you, Vince, for doing what many consider Rocky IV to be. A lot of people really love the Rocky IV soundtrack. Oh yeah, everyone loves Going to Fly Now, but there's a real love for the Vince DiCola Rocky IV soundtrack. This was interesting. This is the only film, Rocky IV, in the series that Mickey is not spoken of.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
He's shown in a couple of the flashback scenes during the montage, There's No Easy Way Out. Another plug for our show. We interviewed Robert Tepper, the singer and writer of No Easy Way Out. See, these are some good interviews.
Which was a highlight.
I love that Robert Tepper interview. I feel like I
knew him a little bit.
I know it was awesome. He was a great guy. And he loved that we kind of ragged on him a little bit. He thought it was great.
He's a good sport.
He was a good sport about it. Yeah, he laughed when we told him. But we promised to bury the hatchet because he came on our show and was nothing but a good sport. Okay, one last thing. Check this out, Ruben. Now this is how big Rocky IV was when it was released. Okay, if Rocky IV was released in 2018 with the same amount of ticket sales, it would have been number 3 movie in the world for 2018. The only 2 films that beat it, if it was released today with the same amount of ticket sales, was Black Panther and Avengers.
Amazing.
That's how big Rocky IV was. That's how many people. So think about how big Avengers and so Black Panther was the number 1 movie in 2018. Mm-hmm. Avengers was number 2. Had this movie been released now with the same amount of people attending, it would have been number 3 at $627 million worldwide.
Incredible.
Now, here's the key. Here's the kicker. It only had, now in today's dollars as well, it only had a budget of $60 million. Now, I'm telling you right now, Black Panther and Avengers did not have a budget of $60 million.
Crazy.
So, Rocky IV would have been the most profitable movie of 2018 had it been released today, by far. It had like a 600% increase.
Amazing. Just this one guy who had a vision, typed something on his
Did the math
typewriter.
right?
That sounds about right.
It would cost $60 million, and it made $630 million. That's like 600%. Am I wrong about that? You can go.
I'm not the guy to
I
ask.
don't know. What do I know? Bud's just joined our show. He says he's the biggest Rocky fan ever. He's 47 years old, and he's looking at his Rocky IV school folder in front of him at this moment. So he's got a Rocky IV school folder, something he took to school with him. That's awesome. Bud,
Hilarious.
you're a good man, Bud. All right, well, that's it. I don't know what else we can say about Rocky IV and our 100th episode. You got anything? We want to thank everyone that's listened. I doubt anyone's listened to this whole episode live. So I want to thank our forever faithful listeners on our audio earbuds. Thank you for listening, guys. Thank you for your emails. Thank you for your support. Thank you for just giving us a chance. We're just a couple of ham and eggers at the end of the day. We really are. I don't think a movie will ever be made of us, but yeah.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. All right, how do I end this podcast? Oh, I got to open up this page here. So wait one sec.
Greg, we love you.
Yeah, one. Did we miss any of the chats?
I think we got it.
All right. Thanks, guys.